Now, back before COVID struck, I was pretty good at preparing to watch a movie. I'd have all these preparation marathons, as I'd like to call them, where I'd be ready to watch the new film whenever that was. And I planned to see Top Gun 1 right before I saw the sequel. But they kept on pushing that release date back and back and back and back to the point where it's like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to review the first movie now and just cross my fingers that it'll be released later in the year, which is exactly what I said in my review. A sequel is supposed to be made later this year, but whoever knows about that. That was over 2 years ago, guys. Far enough back that I had to go back and watch that review to kind of get a quick refresher course on what that first film was all about. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. It's Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick, or Top Gun 2 to some folks, takes Tom Cruise back to his roots, returning back to the Maverick role that in many ways really helped skyrocket his career. This time he disobeys an order, like before, and gets sent to Top Gun, like before, where he must train the new recruits on how to successfully pull off a dangerous mission and not only succeed, but also get back home safe and sound, which becomes even more stressful when one of the recruits is the son of his old wingman Goose. Wow, honestly, I wasn't sure what I was expecting with the movie, but it's one of the best films of the year. I know that a lot of people are saying it's a perfect film and nothing will beat it this year, but I'll actually start this review off by saying I have movies rated higher from 2022 already, but at the same time, it's up there, like top 5 up there, because it's expertly pulled off. And I'll try to list off all the things that it does do right in a second, but I also wanted to say what makes it not perfect, but still good, because technically one of its biggest downfalls, at least to me, is the lack of originality. In so many ways, this is a beat-for-beat remake of the first movie, with a lot of the shots looking pretty much identical to the overall structure of the thing. Some of the same songs, obviously, Danger Zone. And when it wasn't borrowing from the first Top Gun film, it was borrowing from the trench run story in Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. Like seriously, it was so ridiculously similar to that trench run. There's an actual trench, there's a really small blink and you'll miss it target that has to be shot at the exact right time or else you'll miss it. In Star Wars, you already had X-Wings and TIE fighters in a literal dogfight, but as much as it feels like blasphemy, I can say that this trench run felt so much more tense and impossible than Star Wars. Star Wars was like, okay, if you missed that shot, you can just kind of go back around and try again. No. In this movie, you have one shot. Or what they said in the movie, a miracle. And obviously, the real world scenario really shot that tension into the stratosphere. I will say this about the plot, though. At least it was a plot. The first film didn't really have a plot. It had events that happened, and a lot of really great friendships, relationships, and moments overall. But it didn't have a plot. It didn't have an end goal. So when that dogfight happened in that first Top Gun film, it didn't feel warranted. Instead, it felt incredibly random and in there just to be in there. It was a great sequence, don't get me wrong, but narratively, it felt lopsided. This, however, felt insanely warranted. Like, along with the students, you are preparing to see this event. You're told what's gonna happen and how it's gonna happen. And even then, you're still not sure exactly how it'll truly play out. Narratively, this film is structured perfectly, even though it can sometimes be slightly unoriginal, like I said. Also, as most will point out, the action in the movie is insane. Made even more insane still when you realize how real it was. Anybody can make a CGI type plane movie these days, but the fact that Tom Cruise insisted on it all being real and practical, with real planes, real actors, and said planes experiencing insane levels of real G-force, it all turned this movie into something absolutely remarkable and unlike anything out there right now. Period. I'm still racking my brain trying to figure out how they did some of those scenes all around, and thankfully, it's not all action either. Just like the first movie, the film does a great job using human connection as a grounding feature because, yes, it's a plane movie. Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff happens in the air, yet it's brilliantly grounded at the same time because of how much human connection there is and relatable chemistry that you see on screen between literally everybody. And their performances are so good. Tom Cruise, I haven't seen act as emotional as he does in this in years. Honestly, He's great as an action star, obviously, but sometimes we forget that he does technically have a range. He started out in Hollywood not as an action star, but more so in dramas, comedies, romances. And when Mission Impossible hit, well, most of that kind of just went out the window. And because this is a sequel to one of those earlier films, we got to see a little bit of that again, which was nice. I'm always curious as well to see another Miles Teller film because we all know he has it in him to have loads and loads of talent. And the same can be said here. I will say that his best performance is probably still Whiplash, though this is a very close second. But hey, I mean, if we're gonna be comparing body figure, well, I mean, I guess this takes the cake in that department for Miles, huh? Overall, this is one of the best films of the year by far. I just wouldn't say the best. For me, that's still Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I have scored at that rare 100% perfect score, and even the Batman I have rated higher than this. But this is really, really close and really up there. It's either number 3 or 4, I'm not entirely sure, but it is A+ letter grade, final score of 97%. You will see that my bias score, or just how I personally felt about the film, is perfectly scored at 100%, but its technical rating is slightly lower because of what I said before. It is technically not super original, and also not every character is great on their own, or at least not on paper, but it does try at the very least, and honestly, that's just me nitpicking. Something that's very good on its own, and very worthwhile to watch, and definitely improves on the original, which was already a great movie, but also a very 80s movie. Anyways, guys, I know I'm the billionth review of this film out there, and you've all probably seen it. So let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below, and as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell to be notified when I come out with my next review, and whenever that is. Peace!